So I was recently in a barber, and the person next to me getting their haircut was talking about how he unfortunately recently lost his job. And was listening to their conversation, and he had said that after he lost his job, he had basically started a full-time job of looking for a new job. And he claimed that he had applied at over 1,000 companies to try to find a new job, and he hadn't heard back from a single one of them, which I thought was really odd. Now, obviously, who knows if that's true, if he actually applied for 1,000. But what I've been telling people as of recently is the job market data, specifically job openings, is something that I'm very interested in because I think it's fake. I think there's a lot of companies right now that are showing job openings as a way to appease shareholders and make a better public perception. So what that means is they're acting like they're putting out job openings because they need to expand their business, but they really don't have any sort of reason to add those jobs, and they're not going to add those people to the jobs. They're just letting people apply, and basically they're falling on deaf ears. And so that starts today's message, which is this sort of fear that's starting to drive around the globe right now, which is, are we headed to another recession, or maybe worse, a Great Depression? And today I want to talk about how to get prepared for such a thing and how I'm preparing for such a thing, because when we think about this, we don't know what's going to happen. We can look at all the economic indicators, and there's some that say it's not going to happen. We just recently talked about some different videos on my channel where we explain how there's actually the SOM rule, which is 100% predictory of a recession, and it predicted that we're going to have a recession. So there's a lot of things contradicting one another. Some saying yes, we're going to have a recession, and some saying no. But I'll tell you what, I would rather have something and not need it than need something and not have it. And so I've been listening to a couple podcasts recently. And what I thought was funny was that right now, 40% of Americans think that we are and are scared of their bills. They're worried about paying their bills, and they're scared and worried about a recession. They're 40% of American adults. 37% thought that in 2006 and 2007. So more people are worried now than before the Great Recession. Number two, credit card debt is now up to $1.2 trillion. Credit card utilization is at a record high. We have more credit card debt and more utilization of debt to just survive than ever before. We are now seeing a 36% hike in evictions in rentals. Why? Because people are unable to pay their rent. And what's even worse is between 48 and 59% of Gen X, Gen Z, baby boomers, and millennials believe the American dream is no longer possible. With all of the money that was printed in 2020, some reports saying 80%, others most saying 40%, we know that we are living in a new time. I've never challenged the fact that I think we are in a new normal. Costs will never go down. We have to learn to live in this new cost environment. And if we can't, we're not going to survive. And so we have to almost realign and readjust our lifestyles. And so how are we going to be able to survive a recession or a depressionary environment? Well, when you look back at the Great Recession, who was caught worse? Who was the ones that were thrown under, maybe bankrupt, everything was lost? It was the people that were over leveraged. It was the people that had too much. It was the people that leveraged too much, which means they borrowed money to purchase things that they really couldn't afford, but because they could borrow money, they could afford it. Now, the biggest expense that you have right now listening to this message is right here. It's your house. How many of you guys right now are renting or in a house that maybe you can't afford? Now, there's many different expert opinions on this, on what you can and cannot afford. But my opinion on it is you should spend 20% of your household income maximum on the cost of your house. So if as a household you guys make $10,000 a month, $5,000 each, you should spend no more than $2,000 per month on a household. You're thinking about it, aren't you? Like, hey, that's probably not possible. And you're right. For people nowadays, it's not possible. It was certainly possible in 2020. That's what I was able to lock in. $1,800 a month is my mortgage in this property. But people nowadays, they have these higher interest rates, and of course the higher cost of properties. It's nearly impossible to find a $2,000 mortgage in any metropolitan city in the United States. Small places, sure, but small places also have lower incomes. And so what we're seeing is a conglomerate of people all over leverage because now they also need a car. They have to pay for, college tuition. They have to pay for this bill and that bill and the power bill and the internet bill, you name it. And so the number one thing that you can do as we speak, trying to prepare, quote unquote, for a potential recession is getting your expenses down as far as possible and not having leverage other than your household. So some of you right now listening to this, you have leverage with college tuition, old college bills. You have ATV leverage. You have RV leverage, boat leverage, car leverage. You are borrowing money for basically everything that costs more than a few $1,000s. You might even borrow money for technology, phones. I see people using the finance option for phones, refrigerators, TVs. What you need to do right now is figure out how can I pay down and get rid of as much of my leverage or my debt as humanly possible. Because when people get in trouble is not right now, it's in the potential of a downturn, you're at risk of being laid off, at a higher risk of being laid off. And if you become laid off or your pay gets cut, guess what? Your bills aren't going to magically cut. You're not going to get a call from your utility company, your mortgage company, or your car company and say, so sorry you lost your job, or so sorry that your pay got cut. We'll just cut what you owe us for now and let us know when it goes back up. That's not reality. And so what a lot of people need to focus on as we speak in the next 6 to 12 months is getting their payments down as much as humanly possible. And so that's method number one, or way number one, that I am preparing for the next economic downturn. It's getting rid of all of the bills, paying off all of the debt, and if I don't want to pay off the debt, getting out of whatever that is, whatever the asset or liability is, even if I'm paying it off. The only thing that I think you should be paying off is if you have extremely low interest debt on a house. For me, I have a 2.65% mortgage. Right now, treasury bills are still higher than 2.65%. It would be silly of me to take my capital and pay down my mortgage if I can just invest that elsewhere at a higher rate of interest. But that leads me to number two. And more importantly, number two is I need to figure out a way to increase my income without spending more time. So a lot of people, they feel like the only way to increase their income is by working more. It's by clocking in overtime, getting a second job, and all that sort of stuff. And this is going to be something that's going to go against a lot of your philosophies of life, and that's fine. I think you should focus on figuring out how to sell something. What can you sell, whether it be your own personal goods or whether it be starting a business or selling for another business, where you can actually start to gain more income? It can be as simple as selling your old cell phones and laptops and technology and clothing and whatever in your house. Art doesn't matter. It could be selling a product or service online, signing up to become an affiliate and selling a product or service. It could be starting up a business where you become a real estate agent, insurance agent. I don't care what it is. You have to figure out how to sell something. Because here's the truth. If you can figure out how to sell something, eventually you can figure out how to teach somebody to sell something. Just last month alone, my salespeople sold over $80,000 worth of product of mine, services of mine, that they went and sold, that then filled up the pockets of my business that will eventually come my way. Think about that for a minute. I didn't spend 1 hour for my salespeople to sell my products and services on the internet that none of you guys even know about, by the way, because it has nothing to do with my YouTube channel. We literally don't even talk about it. So it's not like it's something that's on the internet. It's something that's completely off of the internet. And so I want you guys to think about that for a minute. What can I do? It doesn't have to be go on YouTube and sell a service. Notice I don't sell a coaching program on my YouTube. I do everything for free. But think about it like this too. If I wanted to sell a coaching program and said, hey guys, we have 10 slots available for the month of October, November, January, February, July, whatever it is, and they're $500 a piece, 10 slots available. You're going to get 16 coaching calls with me. We're going to go A to Z with your portfolio. How many of you guys type in the comments section, put I would be in. This isn't a test. This is just showing you guys. Type I would be in if you would be in for that little coaching program. I'm not doing it. But think about that. How would I be in that situation to where boom, poof, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, I'm teaching you something. You have to provide the marketplace so much value that they'd be willing to pay you for the value that they believe that you can create in their life. Think about all the people right now that want to learn how to start a stock portfolio, don't know where to start. Think about all the people that would be willing to spend $500 to $1,000 to have a person say, hey, here's how you start it. Here's the websites you go to. Here's where you send it. Here's how you build it. The percentage of this and this and this goes here and here and here. Here's how you manage risk. Oh, by the way, here's how you can get some dividends. Here's how you can get some cash flow. Here's how to save on taxes. That information could be worth tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars for a beginner, and they only have to pay a couple $100s for that value. Hypothetical scenario, teaching you guys what you need to do. And so I had that question come up recently of how do you increase income? You increase your value. You increase your value in the marketplace. You sell a higher quality product that then can make you more money, or you create more value from yourself. You might be in art, you might be antiques, collectibles, lawn care, plumbing, electricity, sales training, investing. Whatever it is that you're in, you can create value because you know it better than 99% of people. And so that's the second thing that I'm doing to prepare for the Great Recession or Great Depression per se, if it comes along. Remember, I'm not saying it will. I'd rather have it, not need it, than need it and not have it. So number one, I'm getting rid of liabilities. Number two, I'm making more money. Number three, my last one, I'm not getting and I'm not diving in of scarce mindset everywhere I go, of bad articles, this and that. I'm not letting the media control my thinking. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be watching the markets through my own lens, where all I do is I pay attention to how's their financials, and are we really, really certain that our sentiment is overly scared, which has to do with the VIX spiking above 45, specifically spiking above 80, the VIX, the volatility index. I want you guys to think about that. The media, Twitter, Facebook, CNBC, Fox, CNN, you name it, they all create these massive panics amongst the American people and the globe of this whole thing's going to collapse. And the more people that watch that, the more fear that it stirs up. And the more you watch that, the more fear is going to stir up in you. You're going to be more stressed, make more irrational decisions. Control what you can control. And what you can control is by limiting liability and increasing income right now. The rest of it's all noise. And so on both sides, we can do that, but we also have to pay attention to what we have seen recently. Now, I do have a video on my channel. You guys can click it right here. It was called the Psalm Rule. I did about an hour-long live stream. And if you guys want to go check that out, that's an indicator that is predicted since 1960, every single recession. And it's triggered again. So it's telling us we're coming into another recession, which is one of the only reasons I'm talking about this right now. But what I want to know from you guys is, where do you think we're going from here? What do you think is going to happen? And type that down below. Let me know your feedback. Do you think we're heading towards a recession? Or do you think this is actually going to be like a roaring 20s event and we're all overreacting? Last but not least, guys, I've found some studies that have said that videos of just talking, no fancy editing, just truly how you feel in front of the camera, are performing immensely better than the highly edited content on YouTube. And so I want you guys to click that like button and then let me know in the comments if you want more videos of me driving and walking and just sitting in my office where I reel off my thoughts, where you guys can just simply listen along and get some feedback on what I'm thinking. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and we will see you guys on the next video. As always, click that like button and that subscribe button. Check out that Psalm video. We'll see you then. Another video.